today with another book review. The one I promised the other day, I would be reviewing The Saviour's Champion by Jenna Moreci. Right. Jenna Moreci is a YouTuber who she's also a writer, and she posts videos regularly about writing. She's a fantastic person to follow and subscribe to if you are in any way interested in writing. She really does provide some good insight into writing and, you know, the publishing world and different things and how to improve your writing in different areas. So yeah, you should definitely check her channel out, and I'll leave the link to her channel in the description below. Before I get on with the actual review, which I'll start now. Okay, so basically The Saviour's Champion is it's kind of a fantasy sort of dystopian novel. It's centered around a guy called Tobias Kaya, who because his father has died in an accident and his sister is pretty much paralyzed, he's the sole earner for the family, and he earns all the income. So he's laboring to keep a roof over his family's head, really. And there is this tournament called the Sovereign's Tournament, where young men from about, I think, 20 to 30 years old can compete to win the hand in marriage of the Saviour. The Saviour is a woman who was descended from the first Saviour, who revitalized the country that they live in, the country Thesson. Basically, it used to be a wasteland, and she revitalized it so that land was usable again, and that people could again live on it and everything. So she's like a sort of goddess sort of figure that everyone is really intrigued by, and they want, and obviously a lot of men would, you know, want to get with her. But the Sovereign's Tournament, 20 men enter, and only one man comes out alive in the end. And the man who survives the entire tournament is the one who wins the Saviour's hand in marriage. And Tobias has absolutely no interest in the Saviour. He's not enthralled by her. He's not, I suppose, I think he's just not interested in her. But obviously winning this tournament means eternal glory and a lot of money. So he enters for those reasons, to help his family and to help his sister, to see if maybe there's something he could do for his sister, who goes through a lot of pain all the time. So he enters the Sovereign's Tournament. Basically Tobias gets into a sort of forbidden romance while he's in the tournament. He ends up getting with Layla, who is a healer, who every day after they have challenges every day, the men come out, she basically, you know, heals them and gets them sort of fresh and revitalized for the next challenge, which can be deadly. Yeah, he and Layla are, you know, secretly sort of getting, you know, attracted to each other, and it's about him trying to pretend that he wants to be with the Saviour and trying to survive this tournament so that he can provide for his family. But he's also caught up in the danger of being with another woman, while actually, you know, being in this tournament. And also he's got quite a few nemesis. A character, for example, whose name is Kaleo, and he is probably the worst character in the book. And eventually, like, Tobias makes allies, and then they become his friends, and some of them start getting killed, and obviously like the number of his allies starts to decrease, and he's starting to get very he's starting to really hate this tournament because he can't bear the thought of watching his friends die anymore, and the thought that his life is really in danger with Kaleo and his cronies kind of going after him. It's just a really good, like, I just love it. I normally do not like romance at all, but it's the fact that it's a clever sort of twist on romance, in that it's not your typical romance. It's like dangerous, and it's they really shouldn't be entwined like in this situation, but Tobias loves Layla, so he obviously goes for her, putting himself in immense danger. For if he got caught, he could be killed, and so could Layla. And it's just mixed up with all this sort of fight to the death and sort of deadly challenges, and also fighting for the Savior's hand, and obviously he has to fight for the hand of a woman who he does not love, and because he loves Layla, but he cannot let anyone know this. It's very violent, and there's a lot of violence, a lot of death in it, and I really liked how Jenna was not afraid to kill off some of the characters, especially the characters we loved. Like, oh my god, there were some characters whenever they died, I was like, no. But obviously I see why they did, and obviously I'm not going to spoil who dies and who lives and all that. But yeah, I really liked it, and for the genre, I think as well, Jenna's writing style really, really complemented the genre, and it really fit with the tone of the story. I really, really liked it. There was a lot of humour in it as well, which was great to see. I love how she was able to counterbalance humour and the violence and the romance and the darkness of the actual story and what's going on so well. Another thing I saw as well was, which we don't really see a lot of, like, there's a lot of stories nowadays about how, like, you know, women are objectified and how women are seen, and, you know, the status of women. But I really like that we saw in this that there was a lot of objectification of the men in this tournament, in this book, and we got to see the flip side of that, and that it's not just women who were objectified on Jelly. I just really liked that element to it. I thought that was really clever, and I really liked as well that Jenna was very inclusive and in giving representation to a lot of different people in society. Like, there was some gay representation, and then there was a girl who had some sort of disorder, I think, that made her behave a lot younger than she actually was. She was a nice sort of addition to the story. I think she really brought a bit of light to it, and I really loved her, Pippa. She was just a lovely little character, a side character obviously, but I think she I loved her. I loved the way that Jenna was very inclusive and represented a lot of different sort of groups and stuff like that. And there was also, I'm not going to spoil it, but there was a nice little twist. There was a twist at the end about the Savior. We learned more about the Savior and who the Savior really was, which I really, really liked. And there was a really, really sweet ending. The last few pages, I was like, oh my god. I'm not going to spoil it, but no, I highly, highly recommend checking out The Savior's Champion by Jenna Moreci. I kind of just stumbled into reading it because I followed Jenna's channel for quite some time, and obviously her book came up a few times, and I said I'll try it, and I'm so glad that I did, because I honestly think that The Savior's Champion is one of the best books that I have read in a very long time. Yeah, so if you liked the Hunger Games, and I'm not talking about the films because the films weren't great, right? But if you like the Hunger Games books and you like dystopian and you love a bit of fantasy in with it as well, you are really, really gonna love this book. It is absolutely wonderful, and I highly recommend checking it out. And as I said, I will leave the link to Jenna's YouTube channel so you can check out any of her videos on writing, because there's plenty of them. Make sure you do. And if you have read The Saviour's Champion, let me know what you think of it, if you agree with my review or not. And if you're returning, obviously remember to leave a like. And if you're new, please remember to subscribe to my channel, because there will be plenty more book reviews to come pretty soon. And obviously I review TV shows, films, and I have a mental health sort of album as well, which I will be adding to like soon. So yeah, stay tuned and make sure you subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about new videos. I will see you next time. Okay guys, bye!